Hey everyone, this is Lindsay with She Works Abroad, and I am here today with Megan. Megan, great to see you to talk a little bit about her journey through your global career and the absolute exciting next step she is taking in her own transformative global career. So, hey Megan, welcome.
Hey,
How are you
for
doing
having me.
today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. So, Megan, we met a few months back and had a pretty deep conversation about what you were hoping to achieve as a next step in your career. Will you just give us a overview of where you were and what was going through your head when we first started talking?
Sure. Well, it's interesting because it was kind of a match of my next step in my career, but also in my personal life. And so prior to coming to you, I had previous, experience working abroad and in international companies. However, for the last few years, and what was right for my life was to be in New York. But I've been doing that for a while, and there were two major things that were sort of pulling me to figure out how I could find more opportunities to be abroad. One being, I've been in a relationship with my boyfriend, who I originally met when I studied abroad in Chile, and we've rekindled that over the years. And so I have been doing a back and forth, and luckily he's had more flexibility to come to New York a lot. And was trying to figure out how I could have more opportunity to also be in Chile with him,
Mm-hmm.
as well as figure out how to have more opportunity to uh, be sometimes at home in Florida with my family. So I was trying to figure out how to mesh that all together.
Mm-hmm.
And then additionally, I had just been in a place where I'd been working at my company for a while. It was a New York based local company, and I really love the work that I've been doing. It's not an international company and don't foresee that happening in the future. But have been looking for some change, but didn't really feel like that change was necessarily leaving the company. So didn't really know how to navigate trying to figure out if there was a way to stay there and also pursue sort of my hopes in my personal life balance and being able to be abroad more. And so I sort of was in this situation, and my companies are, is clearly aware of my personal situation, et cetera, and had shared sort of my goal for this coming year, which was to spend more time with the people that I love, and had shared that with
Mm-hmm.
my CEO. I work in a small company, and so we have a good relationship. And she was kind of like, you know what, like we might be able to figure this out if you can bring me a proposal. And that was sort of where I was like, a little bit surprised. Wasn't it kind of fell into my lap, and then I sort of was at this place of, okay, wow, maybe this is a possibility. Maybe I don't have to actually leave the company, but had no idea what to do next, and knew that while even though my CEO is on board, there was actually a whole host of people who really had to approve it. That
Mm.
she actually wasn't the ultimate approver, and it was really with our HR and with my manager.
Mm-hmm.
And so knew that I had to figure out a way to uh, create this proposal and make it beneficial to them, and had no idea really how to start.
Yeah. And I remember having this conversation and two things. One is like you had decided that this is what you needed to do. You were like, I want to be spending time in Chile. I want to have flexibility to spend time with my parents who live in the United States. Something has to change in my life to make this happen. And you were really brave to talk to the CEO about your personal circumstances, and you really loved your company. And I thought, that was a big thing for me as well, hearing you say that you really liked your job, you liked what you were doing, and you had this opportunity to tell them essentially why it was so important. And when we first decided to go ahead and you were like, I'm going to go into your global career, I guess, what was the decision point on your end to be like, I have to get help with this proposal? Like, I'm not going to just do it on my own, because you could have.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I definitely considered it. That was definitely a weighing question. Like, I've already got sort of, I think, one of the hurdles that most people are trying to figure out how to get. And I was very fortunate that it sort of had a little bit of already like okayness. I mean, it wasn't a total approval. Um, but I just knew, and knowing my company, I knew that that wasn't enough. I knew that it would really go down to HR. We're a really small company, and so just have to be careful to cross our T's and dot our I's. And I sort of understand that as the head of HR, I've known her for a few years, so I know how she thinks, and I know that she's just being very careful around compliance and equity as well. And so knew that I had to know how to propose this in a way that would position it for the company and be as a benefit to the company, and not just like we're solely approving this because of just for Megan, and not making it just a personal situation. And so I really knew that I needed some help in figuring out how to craft that. I wasn't sure where to start. And I just really needed, honestly, like some, I guess, confidence. I was a little bit surprised and really lucky. I don't know if that conversation happened with my CEO, if I would have approached it, if I would have gone as far. I may have just chose to leave. And so I'm lucky that I had that. But I needed some help in sort of thinking about like the confidence in proposing this, and also not the guilt. I think I could feel a lot of guilt in saying like, well, why am I the exception when this is others cannot work remotely currently? And so figuring out how I could position the proposal as the organization is thinking about growth. This organization does want to grow, and they do want to grow outside of New York. And so part of the work that we did together when I did join the program was thinking about how to position that in a way. And it made me feel like I'm not just doing this for me, I'm also doing this for the growth of the company.
Absolutely.
Which just made, I think, for the proposal so much stronger.
Yeah. And I think twofold, when you decided to come into the program, there was this almost transformational identity that happened with you, because we really pulled out your strengths and we're like, wow, you have a lot of international strengths. You have a lot of background being global. It was great. I mean, for me, I was like, wow, this is a home run. Someone who really understands how to position herself internationally. But here we are trying to fit that international future for you into a company that's not international, that is squarely located in the United States. No one's working remotely. No one is working internationally. And HR, there's a lot of protection around keeping the culture as good as it can be, and not letting someone kind of veer out and veer outside of the model. So how did you I guess in the proposal that you and I crafted and put together, and I think that was a big piece of it, is you and I talked about what is the best way to look at this from a business perspective. So how did you do that? Because you worked on this proposal very hard.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was so helpful. I mean, all of the, sort of resources and tools that you provided really gave me a step-to-step way around like how to approach it, just starting by, researching my own, even though I sort of knew their stance, but like going back into our handbook and just like researching as much as I could to think about where are things, even though we don't expressly say like anything, we don't have a remote policy, there's nothing to that effect, where are there things that may align to the work, which included things around like personal and professional development and desire for helping employees meet their personal needs while also their professional needs, and thinking about how I could pull some of that language, also researching other organizations. And so being in the sort of role I am, I have a good idea of the types of organizations that we would like to eventually model ourselves after as we grow. And a lot of them do have flexible and remote options. And so, and this is just like kind of the perfect year where we have committed to growing outside of New York for next year. And so I knew that that was a big thing. And because our company hasn't had someone not be in New York, that I could position this as an opportunity to test that out with someone who's trusted, who the company knows well, and can help figure out the kinks to making that work before we had to actually hire another employee in a different location. And so that was a big part of the proposal that I think really stuck with folks a lot, especially even from the HR side. And yeah, let me think what else. I think also, it's part of it was the proposal, but also part of it was the presentation and the conversations from there that I think were really helpful. It was one thing to put it all on paper, but then to figure out how to navigate those conversations. And the conversation when I sat down with my manager and sort of proposed this to her, and I think it was really helpful, the sort of tips and advice and strategies that you gave around kind of getting her on my side. She had already been, I knew that she was an advocate for me. And that was part of the work that you sort of help folks figure out is who's their advocate in the company. And so I was fortunate that she was an advocate, but figuring out how to utilize her in parts that I knew were just a little bit of a sticky transition because they just had never been done before. And so anytime there's something new, it's hard to navigate. Like, is this the rule always? Is there some opportunity to be flex here? And so that was another part that I think was super beneficial around the program, and just you being really flexible around kind of tailoring it to different folks. Even during like the group calls, et cetera, it was so helpful to listen to other people's situation, and everyone's situation was different, but there was a lot of opportunity for one-on-one or individual feedback from you for each person's individual situation, including my own. And so
good. Absolutely. I mean, from one of the things that really boded well for your situation was you're super coachable. Like, I was like, here's the strategy that we're going to do. There's a proposal strategy, and then there's going to be a presentation strategy. And guess what? You have to get these really, really sound and specific and tailored to your company and your environment. You know that best. Was the template giving you all of that, those resources, was that helpful for you to build that confidence and build out those skills? I mean, even our role playing around objections that might happen during the presentation.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Super, super helpful. And it's so helpful to have something to work from and to work off of. But then also, given your feedback, there's a lot of ways we adapted it. We were like, oh, this part's irrelevant because of my situation. And so it was really important that I think I do know a bunch around the company. And so I'm able to craft that. But it was really helpful, I think, in taking all of the things that you are providing and supporting with the templates and the like, how to navigate the objections, and then meld that together with my own understanding and being able to do that back and forth. I found that you were really helpful when I was like, I actually don't think this would land well with my company. And, you're a helpful push at times when it was needed, but then also really helpful at taking that and saying, okay, well, how can we twist this or alter this for your situation? Because I felt that you really trusted me, that I also knew a lot about my company and how to navigate that. And so I really appreciate that, because I think you're really great at pushing when there are sometimes needs for pushing, but also, trusting the individual around their own situation and what they may know, and being able to bring that in.
Absolutely. And for you specifically, this wasn't a one and done conversation. You had multiple conversations with your direct manager, then with the CEO, and we strategized who was going to be in what meeting, what needed to happen first and then second. It wasn't like, okay, now just go do this proposal and you'll get a yes and go ahead. There were multiple steps away, including one in which HR said, we want to go get outside counsel on your proposal. And that was something that we were both like, we felt confident that they could go get outside perspective, because the proposal followed HR protocol. We knew the steps for the HR protocol. So tell me just a little bit about that, because that was one aspect that you were really nervous about going into the program, was how are we going to jump the HR piece of the puzzle?
Yeah, I mean, I think, let me figure out how to, I mean, I think with that, there was like a couple of things. I think from the HR perspective, like, because we're a small company, I think they did trust that if my manager and I were on board, then they know those parts are going to work. I think the biggest concern was just like, honestly, is this legal? Like,
yes, absolutely.
Is there any tax stuff we have to worry about? And like, we thought about that so much on the front end. Like, I even thought about how I was articulating the tax situation, et cetera, on the front end. So that I feel like we kind of set them up, because like once they went to the lawyer, they're just kind of like, this is kind of fine. Like we just wanted to make sure there was no major concerns. And so we had done so much proactive thinking about that. I mean, I definitely was a little bit nervous because you never know when you're not part of the conversation. But it was very fortunate that I think so many of the things that we knew would be asked, and I luckily knew would be asked, um, kind of crafted that right into the proposal. So that was already happening. And I think another big piece was I had done a bit of a trial. They had allowed me to work abroad for a month. And that was a really important piece. And Lindsay, you were really great at coaching me. You were like, here to go, 150%. And I did. And what was great was when I came back, folks were like, wow, I didn't even realize you were gone.
Yep.
Like, it felt like you were right here. And then it was like right at that moment, we knew that was the sweet spot. Like my proposal had been ready in January, but we decided like not to share it yet until we sort of got people to that point of like, oh, she went away for a month and things didn't fall apart. And actually, like, it felt like I got even so much more done that 1 month that I probably normally do in the office. Just, there were also, different distractions that I didn't have that allowed me. I like really purposely took on different cross-functional projects so I could show that no matter what, I was cross-functionally. I like made sure I was part of like interviews for new hires and just really signed myself up for everything that I could during that time. And so I think that was also a part that was really helpful, is like thinking about the timing, because by that point it was kind of like, well, we already know this worked for a month and nothing went wrong. And now it's like, why wouldn't we explore it? Where I think if we had done the proposal beforehand, it would have been a different conversation with a lot more trepidation.
Lots of strategy and talking and planning went into this about when's the right way, how to know we have our stakeholders on board, how to craft the proposal for those people, how to make sure that the proposal is something you're excited about, that it's a win for you, that it's something that you are elated when it gets approved. And it did get approved. Ultimately, you did get the go-ahead. And one of the things you told me, which I was just so proud of you, was that they said this is the professionalism around how you propose this, and the actual proposal and presentation itself was something that they just felt very strongly you had knocked out of the ballpark. So, I mean, kudos and congrats to you, because it took hard work and dedication and rethinking and redoing and, okay, let's think about where the business is now, but then like also let's think about where it'll be in 12 months and get smart on that. So what are we celebrating at this moment?
Well, we're celebrating the approval of my proposal for the next year to be able to work remotely from South America or other locations.
Yay!
Which is really, really exciting. And I've really built that with my manager. So there are times that I need to be in New York. And so we're making that work so that I can be here for the work that needs to be done. But there's a lot more flexibility of where I am during those off periods. And so I'm super excited about it. I'm really excited for myself, but also just excited to think about how this like ties into our company as we think about our journey as we're growing as well. So.
Absolutely. And so the first place are you relocating to Chile?
Yes, I have a ticket to Chile on August 31st.
Yes, great for you. I'm so, again, like just super happy for you. And you really worked for this. You wanted it. You made the decision that you had to do something, and that something was you weren't going to leave this role without trying and getting the help and support that you need to ensure that you have this professional opportunity. And you did it. And just very excited for you. And thank you for all of your hard work and dedication. It's just been a great journey. And hopefully I'll get down to Chile and visit you.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you so much for everything.
Absolutely. And just one last thing. Other people on the fence about, like, they want to take their role remote, they don't know how to do it. What what's your suggestion in terms of who's the best fit to come and go through your global career program?
Yeah, I mean, I think, folks, you offer that call at the beginning. So I definitely would tell folks to do that. I think you're very honest around where you feel you can support folks and where you may not be the best position. And so I really trusted that after we had that conversation and I saw the benefits through the program, that it was a good fit for me. And that I don't think that you would have said that if you didn't feel it was a good fit. And then two, I would say, there may be I do believe your program helps meet people where they're at. And so some folks may be wanting to go remote with their current company. Some folks may be wanting to search for another role in another organization. And I think you help really tailor that. It's like you provide, depending on where the person is, someone may be, I'm open to any strategy, and you kind of help them figure out all those strategies. Some folks may be like, I'm pretty sure my strategy A is going to be the one. And you also help us mitigate just in case there was some opportunity for me to think about, okay, if this didn't work, what would happen? But we felt pretty strong that strategy A was an option, pretty, strong option. And so I think that's another thing that I would say is there's a lot of opportunity for tailoring through the program. And I think even the pieces that are maybe not completely relevant to your current strategy, I found really, really helpful. Just like the work of, I knew I didn't have to actually update my resume because I didn't really have to do that for my strategy A since I was trying to the same company, but found it really helpful to just spend the time uncovering things, kind of re-articulating stuff. It was a good process that I hadn't planned to do that I'm really grateful that I did as well. It's just helped me give more clarity as I think about my, career, going forward.
Your global career going forward. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, thank you again and congratulations and have so much fun in Chile.
Great. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.